Hey, everybody. Welcome to another edition of 108 Stitches Baseball Talk. My name is Scott Morgan, North Motor City Madmouth. Glad to have you with us tonight. We have quite a crew tonight. Eric Katz is off tonight. We'll see him on Saturday. But in his place, a guy who's probably 2.5 times older than Eric. His name is Ron Luzum. I know him from the Coral Springs Chamber. So Ron is kindly going to sit in. Ron is actually going to be trying to see if he can fit into the South Florida Tribune Media Network crew, and we'll see how he does after tonight. But meanwhile, Ron, as promised, I bring you on, and I couldn't bring you on with a better group than what I have here. Ron, tell everybody a little bit about what you do and how long you've been following sports and where you work, and then we'll turn around the horn. I have Candy Ebling. I have Warren Brewster, my star pitcher. I got Tony, the jack of all trades, and he's really a star on the Sports Exchange on Wednesday night when he can turn it loose with some of his Tony-isms, as we will say. And I'll tell you, he's really made himself a star on that show. I mean, if you ever see this guy in action, he's pretty darn good. And my battery mate for the last 40 years or so, and that's Barry Foote, who I go back in time with the Yankees organization. Barry, to me, is somebody that I cherish and is definitely one of a kind. That's what I've got tonight. I'll put you on with Ron. All right, take it from there. Where you're working, and let's tell us a little bit about your passion for sport, and then you're going to see how fast I really talk. And I'll guarantee when you talk to the chamber boy, he does talk faster than Indy cars. Go ahead, Ron.
Well, thank you, everyone. Well, what I do during the living is I'm the founder and partner of my law firm for 51 years. I'm a New York lawyer, a Florida lawyer, and we have offices all in Coral Springs, Florida. We provide experience, expertise, and empathy to all of the civil legal needs, and I've been in town for some 50 years. But prior to that, my passion, my being is baseball. I played baseball, not as well as Barry, but played baseball all my life. And I actually saw Jackie Robinson play baseball. I'm a Brooklyn boy. I still bleed Dodger blue, and I love speaking sports. And I grew up with my favorite center fielder was the third best center fielder in my own city, Duke Snyder. I had to submit to Willie Mays and Mickey Mantle. And by the way, in my years of life, and I'm in my late 70s, Willie Mays was the best baseball player I ever saw play. Hands down.
Hard to argue.
Very good. Yeah, well,
I agree with that 100%.
Yeah, it really is. Well, you're definitely going to fit in with this show, that's for sure. A lot of tradition is indeed. So, all right, let's get to the topics. We got quite a few of them. Then we're going to start off with the fact that you want to talk about an incredible 1-2 punch in the World Baseball Classic. You won't find two better than Tarek Skubal and Paul Skeens in that rotation. What are your thoughts, Ron?
Well,
about that duo.
I'm really more of a traditionalist. And I remember Koufax, Marichal, Gibson. But reading today's players was so much different than my understanding, and probably Barry can chime in. I guess they're both just about very even. And reading about their stats, I happen to go, all things being equal, I like a lefty over a righty for a starting pitcher, and I would probably lean towards Skubal. But I'm going to suggest to everyone that right now, if I was starting a team, I might consider Yamamoto. Because he showed what he can do in pressure playoff games and the World Series. We haven't seen that from Skubal or Venez yet. But I would tend to give my nod to Skubal over Venez right now.
Skeens doesn't have any run support either. Come on, Ron. And he's with the Pittsburgh Pirates, the team that feeds everybody else at AAA, for God's sakes. I mean, really, seriously, really, Ron? Come on, I gotta break it in with a really seriously, really. Because when I do that, I have fun doing that stuff. Just get reaction.
No, I
mean, come on, give me a break. What do you have?
2-3 years from now,
Pirates are all fenceless.
2-3 years from now, we'll probably be on the Dodgers or the Yankees.
Amen to that.
Yeah, that's probably true. Yeah, there you go. All right, well, we'll turn over to Candy Ebling. Go ahead.
So I'll add, Ron, it will be either the Yankees, the Dodgers, or the Mets. Any one of those three, they'll probably be on later on down the road. But look at what the Tigers have done. The Tigers are going after some pitching this year, so that we'll talk about that later. But Scooble and Skeens, glad to see that they're going to be in the World Baseball Classic. I'm looking forward to watching some of these games now, because with so many of the stars actually playing, at least as of right now, they're playing. It'll make it for interesting watching. So I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, Warren, what do you think about that incredible 1-2 punch that's going with Team USA?
Right. Well, the Cy Young Award winners for the last 2 years, both of them, one in the National League, one in the American League. You can't do much better than that. That's a good way to start your rotation. And they're both young, outstanding pitchers. And they're still young enough in their career where the careers that the innings haven't worn them out yet. So they'll be nice and fresh come middle of March for the WBC. I think they'll really lead the U.S. team. This score. Skeens will be happy as can be, because he's going to get more run support than he ever gets at Pittsburgh.
Hey, got way more talent too. That's a great point, Warren. Thanks, Uncle Warren. I was waiting for my uncle to throw that pitch, and he got it over the plate and nailed it for a strike. All right, Tony, what's your take on it?
This is great. We've been talking about it the last couple of weeks, just about the star power of the WBC, and then you have two of, you can argue about the world, and that's the good thing about this, is talking about the world. You have two of some of the best pitchers in the world on our side, which has been a weakness for the most part for USA and the WBC. At least not a strength, right? Even if it's not necessarily looked at as a weakness. So it's good to see that coming along. I think last year, 3 years ago, the top of our rotation was like Clay, Holmes, and Clevenger, which isn't bad. But when you pull out Skeens, when you upgrade to Skeens and Scooble, it's just a whole nother level for Team USA. So I'm interested to see how this goes. And I think Candy mentioned this last week. I feel sorry for the rest of the MLB, because you got Skeens and Scooble getting good innings in going into the season. They're not going to be cold coming in. They're going to be ready to go. So I feel sorry for the rest of the MLB with what they're going to be doing in the WBC.
I got a few little mini comments in the chat room. Candy, let's address everybody that so far is in there. You got yo, yeah, a lot of people say yo, you, hi, hello, yo, you, hi, to come into the big show. All right, Barry, your laugh. Well, I guess the only thing I'll say about it is you do have an incredible 1-2 punch, and obviously Justin Verlander will get more run support when he's with the Tigers. Get to that in a moment, but Scooble and Skeens, Scooble will just be happy that he's around good players. All right, Barry, I'll turn it over to you.
Well, these two guys are the best arms for sure, and it looks like they're the best pitchers in the league. You still are in spring training, so you're not going to see them at their peak, but they're going to be a handful, and it'll be interesting. I think all of us agree that the WBC is coming of age now, and I think it probably started last year when. Or the last time they played, or was it 2 years ago, when Trout got struck out by Ohtani in that series, and I think that really started sort of the ball rolling. I've never been interested. I started getting interested in the last one, but I'll certainly watch this year for sure.
Yeah, I would too.
All right, ceiling fan. Interesting point. I like this guy for some reason. I don't know why, but I like him anyway. Welcome to the stream meeting night with 6 amazing. If you have any questions, text them in the chat, and the answer will be directly to you. All right. We'll get help anywhere we can get it. Sounds good to me. All right, let's keep it going. All right, did the Brewers make the right move trading Freddie Peralta after acquiring Jet Williams and Brandon Sproat? Well, go ahead, Ron. What are your thoughts about what the Brewers did when they traded away Freddie Peralta?
Well, it sounds like they're still looking to grow and improve. But as a Met fan, I'm happy for the Mets finally to have what looks like a number one pitcher, hopefully, that will add to their starting rotation. Steve Cohen is spending billions and billions, millions and millions of dollars, and he's not having any ROI on yet. And I think it's a good move for the Mets. Finally, I think Peralta's a quality #1 pitcher. They need him. And I'm sad for Milwaukee. Candy, as you said, it's a small market. I think Peralta was looking to make some big bucks, and he's going to be making big bucks. Couldn't make them in Milwaukee. And hey, the rich get richer, so to speak.
That's exactly it, Ron.
Well, good segue. Candy, you get a credit.
Peralta was entering the final option year of a 5-year, $15.5 million contract extension that he signed back in 2020. Contract includes $8 million club options for both 24 and 25. So at the end of 26, he was going to become a free agent. So the Brewers knew that if they held on to him, he'd become a free agent and they would get nothing for him at the end of the year. So the Brewers did what pretty much the only option they have, because they're not willing to spend the money of some of the other clubs, and they got a little something in return for him. So as much as Ron, you hit the nail on the head. Milwaukee is a small market team. They do not have the payrolls or the deep pockets, or choose to have the deep pockets that some of the other teams do. Therefore, in order for them to get something in return, they had to look at moving him. I mean, they've moved on from Corbin Burns. They've moved on from numerous pitchers. They are typically one of the youngest teams in the league, but yet they still, they haven't gotten to the World Series in years, but they're contenders, and they've won their division the last couple years, even with young players, even with their Craig Counsell, leaving for coaching for the Cubs. Pat Murphy has those kids playing really good ball and really together. That's one of the things that they've said. So sad to see Freddie leave, because he did such a good job for the Brewers, but I understand why. It's a baseball, it's a business, and we sometimes forget business.
Well, here's the thing. David Stearns, hello, once upon a time in Milwaukee. He knows how the Brewers operate. So that was a natural move for him to go there. I'll segue to Warren.
Right. And it's economics again that rears its head in the game. Freddie Peralta's a 5-inning pitcher. He didn't get past 27 hitters last year in any single outing. So you can count on him for 5 innings. He's going to post every 5th day, which is a great thing. And, it's something that the Mets definitely need. Everybody needs pitching. And on the other side, you just don't understand what Milwaukee's doing. They made a crazy trade last week when they traded their kid that was the third baseman. Was the third rookie of the year voting last year. They traded him to Boston, and now they got 2 kids that are basically just prospects, and they're not top of the line players. The Mets had 2 more pitchers that were better, higher ceilings than the one that they got, and 2 position players that have higher ceilings than the one they got. So you really wonder what Milwaukee's doing, but they still somehow, some way, having lost some of their pitchers in the past, they still stay competitive. It's amazing how they do it.
All right, we got Amber Esposito. What the heck is this? Guess what, Am? We're talking baseball. Do you want to talk baseball? No, you don't want to hear my singing. Otherwise, I'll break a memorize class. There you go. That's what this is, Amber. Thanks for popping in off your mobile phone. We get people coming in from the mobile phones, the laptops. It's okay, Amber. Thanks for thinking of us. Now we'll think about you the rest of the way. All right. Go ahead, Tony.
Yeah, this is just a necessary evil of the Brewers being a small market. You got to try and get something before he walks. I agree. I would have tried to get more than what they got for the Mets. I don't know if this was them doing a favor for somebody who used to work in the organization, but the Mets definitely needed it. They were going to try out the young guys to pitch like they did late last year. So I get the Mets going after Peralta. And the Brewers, you can't pay them, right? I mean, I wish they could. Somehow, some way, though, the Brewers do find a way to compete. somehow, some way, the Brewers will find themselves in the thick of things in the NL Central because they're just very well coached. Their scouting department does well, and that might be why they took what the Mets had to offer, because clearly their scouting department and what they do with the with finding talent is how they can compete. So this, hey, I'm going to trust the Brewers with this trade because they've clearly know what they're doing. Now the third baseman trade, I don't know.
Pat Murphy's going to have to act as the word miracle. Shelley Van Brockman, one of our favorites on Facebook. I have nothing to add to the convo, but so early for some baseball. Go Braves. They have a Atlanta Braves fan. All right, Shelley, thanks for being on. She's one of our friends of the show. We appreciate you big time, Shell. Thank you. All right, Barry.
Well, I just think this is a prelude to the lockout for 27 because this just goes to show you these small markets have to get rid of their players. I mean, Detroit's not a super small market, but they're going to have to get rid of Skubal. They're not going to pay him 40 to 50 to 60 million a year. What the Dodgers have done to kind of create that new ceiling. So I think it's what they had to do. I'm not sure about the players. I'll be a lot smarter about those players 3 years from now than I am right now. But I can understand why they're doing what they have to do to try to get some value for somebody they're most likely 99% chance going to lose after the season.
Yeah, getting something better than nothing at this point. I think the Brewers were forced in there. Pat Murphy's going to realize that one of the challenging parts of working with a small market team is you have to deal with this unfortunate roster turnover when their time comes for free agency. And Barry, you nailed it right there. This is a prelude to the 2027 lockout, which is going to turn this sport upside down for sure. All right, well, guess what? We're going to talk about Justin Verlander on two levels. A year ago, he's chasing a rare feat milestone, 300 career wins, fully aware that he might be the last pitcher to reach 300 wins again. Honestly, he says even 250 wins might be out for future players. And as of now, Verlander at the time, a year ago, had 262 career victories, and he turned 42. And now you're preparing for the season. So this is a Verlander that had 262 wins. But I'm going to ask you, everybody, this question this way. Do you think, Ron, that Verlander, if he reaches that plateau, will be the last 300-game winner?
Oh, absolutely, I do. But I don't think he will reach it. And it's sad to see him pitching now, in my opinion. He was no question the pitcher of the decade, maybe last decade. And now, I don't know what his lifestyle is, a $12 million a year contract. Maybe that's satisfactory to him. I don't know. But from a talent perspective, it's sad. He's just hanging in my opinion. Maybe he'll give some wisdom and guidance to the Detroit staff other than Skubal. But I think it's past his prime. It's time for him to register for the Hall of Fame.
Well, and keep in mind, last year he had a 4-11 mark, 3.85 earned run average, 137 strikeouts, and his win total only increased by 4 to 266 all time. We'll turn over to Candy.
I think if he makes it, and that's a big if, yes, he'll be one of the last ones because guys just don't pitch as long as they used to. They make a lot of money. They throw out their arms more. They're so specialized that I think they're having Tommy John surgery, left and right here and there, that I don't think you'll see longevity in that position going forward. So does he make it? He's at 266 now. I don't know that he gets 300, but I know if he does, he would be the last one.
Okay. Warren?
Well, he's had an outstanding career. There's no question about it. And last September, he was another guy with the Giants. They didn't give him run support most of the year. I mean, it took him till the 1st of August to get his first win.
Exactly.
And then, but he did have 4 out of 5 quality starts in September. But I don't see him reaching 300 wins. It's 34 is still a long ways away for for his age, he's not going to last long enough to reach 34 more wins. And as far as anybody in the future winning 300 games, I don't see that ever happening. Not the way the game's structured now. We're not with starting pitchers going 5 and 6 innings. That's not going to happen.
Yeah, no question. Yeah, no question about it.
And they're starting to go. Some teams are going to.
Tony.
Well, there's some teams are going to 6-man rotations. Also, that's another thing they're getting less starts.
Right. Yeah. Don't you miss those old days, Uncle Warren, when you were pitching where you could go as long as you had to? Anybody experienced the good old days? Uncle Warren did. All right, Tony.
Yeah, I agree. 34 is a big number. You thinking what? Even if he pitches 2 more years, 17 wins a year, that puts him in almost like Cy Young conversations, right? I don't think he has that in him anymore. I don't think we'll ever see 300 again. I think 250 might be the new mark. Maybe, because you have to almost account for a pitcher missing a year and a half, because you almost got to schedule in Tommy John for these pitchers now. Like literally in their career, whatever length it is, you got to schedule in a year and a half for them to have Tommy John. So that's going to take off some of it. And like you guys are saying, these aren't the days. I remember one day I just went back and looked at like Greg Maddux and Glavine, and they had all of these decisions because they were going 7, 8 innings. That ain't happening. You get 5, maybe 4 in the third, depending on how many pitches you got. And I just, like you just alluded, Warren, I just saw the Dodgers are going to roll out a 6-man rotation. Another thing that's going to take away from it. So now Verlander, Scherzer, they're the last of the Mohicans, so to speak, and they're not even going to get to the 300 mark. So nope, I think 225, 250 is where we're going to start seeing these pitchers max out.
If that.
Yeah.
Very.
Mm-hmm. First ballot Hall of Famer, never going to reach 300 wins. The best thing going for him right now is his car collection and his wife. So other than that, that's all I can give him right now.
I hear you.
Well, Tom Glavine, Max Scherzer. Well, Tom Glavine, I think you got him. Max Scherzer, forget about it. But I agree with you. It is going to be a stretch. So let's speed the clock up a little bit to Mr. Verlander, shall we? Obviously, Justin Verlander is ready to bring a World Series to Detroit. He says when he signed his contract, I have unfinished business in Detroit. He told Tigers president Scott Harris. Now, I'll tell you, whoever brought up the fact that he could mentor the younger pitchers, keep in mind, Kenny Rogers many years ago was brought in to mentor the younger pitchers. And one of those guys was named Justin Verlander. So Kenny Rogers is a heck of a pitcher. And obviously he understands what you have to do with the younger pitchers as well. From there, we turn over to Ron.
Well, I had indicated that I think maybe he was brought in and he can serve as a mentor to the pitching staff. And that will be a benefit. That would be a benefit. Right. And I think Detroit's competitive in the American League this year. They were a disappointment in the playoffs, frankly, from my perspective. But I think Verlander is just going to be a mentor. He'll throw a couple of innings. I don't see much of him at all. I agree with Barry. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer, past his prime. It's time to hang it up, frankly, maybe be a coach or a mentor. And but I do see Detroit competing with that team in the American League this year. I do. Not like my Dodgers, but with Detroit, I do.
Candy?
He's going to add to that pitching lineup for Detroit. He's going to add the one thing that I think we're talking about too is next year the CBAs are going to be baseball. It's interesting to find out that he has Verlander signed a $2 million base salary with $11 million in deferred payments that don't start till 2030. He's one of these, like, how many times can we defer payments still? How far in the future? I think the CBA next year might take care of some of that. But, kudos for him going back. This is the team he was drafted by. He was drafted and he played his first major league debut was July 4th of 2005 for the Tigers. So kudos for the Tigers bringing him back. Hopefully, I mean, I know he'll help that pitching staff. Whether he gives them I don't see him giving them a lot of quality innings, but a couple of quality starts, and then like a mentorship for some of the younger guys, as he's had quite a long career.
Well, he'd be primed to join the Tigers front office in some way, shape, or form. Usually, when Tiger legends end up retiring and they come back, they end up in the front office. So, and as far as the deferred payment, July 30th, that's good. More power to him. He's already made enough money over the years. That's a little bit down the road. More power to him. And you, Candy, for bringing the deferred payment up. Go ahead, Uncle Warren.
Well, I mean, he's had a great career, and he can mentor those younger pitchers in the Detroit rotation, and even help some of the guys in the bullpen. Because I know when I was in Philadelphia, I played with Steve Carlton, Jim Cott, Jim Lonborg, Ron Reed, and just being around those guys and see how they went about their business was just everything for me. And you pick up little things. Lefty talked about his slider, and so I was able to use what he taught me about the slider to help my game. So it taught me. It made my pitching a whole different. It gave me a whole different perspective just being around him and listening to him.
Okay. Tony.
Yeah, I'm looking. They have him fourth right now in the rotation. I don't know how. I mean, for me, I see him as the fifth starter. Definitely offering an interesting perspective of somebody who's been around a while. Mentorship, I don't know. I mean, they have younger guys, but I think it's just more so just a different set of eyes more than just pure mentorship. I mean, Mize is the youngest guy there, but he's been around for a while. I went 14-6 last year. Framber Valdez isn't a spring chicken, so to speak. Schoolboy Flaherty has won it, but a different set of eyes definitely can help. I've been on with you a few times, Warren, and you too, Barry. You guys have always talked about like the little nuances that a pitcher can give you that'll just change everything for the season. And he is somebody who can definitely offer that. So I think that'd be good. I don't see him as the fourth starter. Like I said, I probably have him as the fifth, give him as much rest as possible. But yeah, he's definitely going to find his way into the coaching or the executive branch of the Tigers. And this is a good segue for that.
Well, he did go on and say that now that he's back in Detroit, he will wear a Tigers cap into the Hall of Fame. He did say that, Barry.
Well, he's definitely going to be a good mentor for any of the players and pitchers. If I had him on my ball club, his first start would be after the All-Star break, because if they're going to be in a hunt, he might be able to give them some quality innings down the stretch. I don't see him as I think he'll probably go down somewhere during the season. I just think these guys that are coming in after 40, he and Scherzer, I think they could be very valuable if they just pitch them after the All-Star break. But obviously that's not going to happen. That's how I'd use him if I had him. After I got his permission,
Good
of
point.
course.
Well, again, obviously you had to slip that part in. Well, let's face it, you caught a lot of great players over the years. So anything you say when it comes to talking about pitching, you having been behind the plate like I have, Fish, you certainly got the part with his permission, though. That was pretty classy to stick that at the end. Let's go to baseball history a little bit. And that's this. On May 27th, 1968, MLB awards franchises to San Diego and Montreal. It's the first time that the league expands beyond its borders. What are your thoughts about the addition of those two teams back there, Ron? You had the Padres and the Expos.
I have to admit, at first blush, I was a little upset because I remember growing up with 8 teams in each league, and the level of play was incredible. But I understand it, and especially as the years have gone by, I think it was excellent. I'm sad that Montreal does no longer have a team. Something tells me they might, from what I'm hearing, in the future. I think I remember the 84 playoff, the Dodgers, and when Rick Monday made that fantastic, I think, 9th inning home run and win the pennant for the Dodgers. but Montreal, they were a good. I guess they didn't draw, and sadly, we here in South Florida with the Marlins, we got stuck with the owner for a number of years, and that didn't work out too well.
Well, the reality is the Montreal Expos were victims of the 1994 strike, is what it was. And they had some incredible players on that team, and that's what led to the beginning of the end. So, but it's a good point, though. I like the fact that it brings in the former Expos owners as members of the Marlins. Good point, Ron. All right, we'll turn over to Candy.
One of the interesting things, both franchises paid a $10 million fee, began play in April of '69, and struggled initially, both finishing with a 52 and 110 record in their debut seasons. The Montreals considered various names, including Royals, but chose Expos to honor the successful Expo 67 World's Fair. What I find really interesting about that is I recently wore a bracelet that used to be my mom's, and on there is a charm from that 67 World's Fair. Very interesting. I just read that. And how cool is that? But this goes, and this is going to date me because I was born in late '68. So, cool. I mean, I don't remember it before there was the Expos, so, or the Padres. So, kudos. Major League Baseball could learn a lot of things from the NFL. The NFL is really expanding internationally and getting out there, and making it work. Now, obviously the NFL doesn't play regularly in Canada because there's a Canadian Football League up there, but to have, obviously Toronto is doing well up there, so I can see them getting another team back up in Canada. Back to you, Scott.
Well, as the guy that took the night off, that Ron is taking his place, Eric Katz, and I know Barry and Warren love this guy. You know what he calls Olympic Stadium? You ready for this, everybody? Calls it a concrete dump. Concrete dump. That's our young Eric Katz, the whippersnapper. I think one of the things about behind the Padres, though, is you open up a team down there and you have access to the Mexican fans down there because they're right near the border. And then you go on to one more topic. I want to take a little station break, and that's this, okay? Blue Jays broadcaster Buck Martinez has announced his retirement after more than 40 years in the booth. Some thoughts about Buck Martinez, Ron?
I have to be honest. I don't have many thoughts about Buck Martinez. He was a very, very good average major league ball player. I don't know too much about him or his career as an announcer either, but I wish him well. I hope he stays healthy and well. But when Candy mentioned 1968, Scott, that was the year of the Tigers. 68, Mickey Lola. They won the World Series.
Games there when Earl Wilson. Well, I've had Mickey Lolage on my show before, just so you know, Ron, and I ended up catching up with him when he had a place out in Naples. It was good. So, yeah, it was definitely great memories for sure. Thanks for bringing those up, Ron. Much appreciated. All right. And keep in mind, Buck Martinez was on ESPN, and he's also broadcast Toronto for a lot of years as well. So, Candy?
John Albert Buck Martinez is a American former professional baseball catcher and manager, and was the television color commentator for the Toronto Blue Jays until his retirement in 2026. He played 17 seasons in Major League Baseball with the Royals, the Brewers, and the Toronto Blue Jays. Since the end of his playing career, he has been a broadcaster working on the Blue Jays and Baltimore Orioles radio and television broadcast, and nationally for TBS and MLB Network. He managed the Blue Jays from 2001 to May of 2002 and Team USA at the inaugural World Baseball Classic back in 2006. So, he's done every part of it. He's played it, he was a manager, and then he broadcast it. And one of the things, Scott, you always say, to be a good broadcaster, you have to be a good writer. Well, you also have to know what you're talking about. So a good broadcaster comes from playing the game, knows the nuances, and has insights that I appreciate when they're broadcasting. So kudos to him for his long career. Good luck in retirement. Enjoy.
Okay, Warren.
Well,
I know him. I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm fortunate enough to. I ran into him one night in Clearwater, Florida, and we sat down and spent a couple hours together and talking about old times, and we were also scouted by the same person, Eddie Bachman, with the Phillies, and Buck originally signed with the Phillies. Yeah, so we had a lot of things in common, So I enjoyed the nights I'd spend that I got to talk to him and to spend some time with him and talk about, because he was from Sacramento. I grew up in Napa. And we had a lot of same, Larry Boa, John Vukovic, all grew up in Sacramento. So he knew all those guys. He played against them all while he was growing up. So we had a lot of people in common that we knew, and he's a great baseball man. No question about it. Great player, good manager, and broadcast for Toronto for like 40 years, So he had quite a career in baseball.
Tony?
Yeah, don't know much about him. I'm a Yes Network guy when I'm watching baseball, but his rant last year was probably the most honest rant about the Yankees in the last 4 or 5 years, and I wish somebody from the Yes Network would have said, or anybody from the Yankees organization had the gumption to say it. And I'm going to quote this man because it was all true. The Yankees, they're not a good team. I don't care what their record is. They have a lot of wild pitches. They make a lot of mistakes on the field, and they don't run the bases well. And that's been the Yankees the last couple of years. Had to be somebody from Toronto to break it down and be real with the Yankees. So shout out to Martinez for that.
Okay, Barry.
Well, I like Buck. He was a former catcher. He's a good baseball guy. I have a warm spot for the Blue Jays and the Expos. And I spent 10 of my 24 years in professional baseball with those two teams. So I knew Buck. He's a good guy. Really hope his health comes around because he's been battling two different cancers in 23 and 25. So I hope his health does come around so he can enjoy his retirement.
Great stuff. Yeah, I wish him well, or send our prayers that he can get through that dreadful disease. All right, it is time for our first station break of the night. Candy Ebling, please give it to us. Then our featured topic will come after the station break. Go ahead, Cam.
South Florida Tribune Publishing Company published a book, Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. It is written by our host, Scott, the Motor City Madmouth Morganroth. Talks about his 40-plus years in the industry and how it has evolved. Old school media meets new school media. Get your copy today. It's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, Google, and Apple Books. There's also a link on our website, www.southfloridatribune.com. It is also available in audio, so wherever you get your audiobook, look for it as well. As far as our website, there's lots of information on it, so go check it out. If you like to listen to podcasts, you can find us wherever you get your podcast. If you want to be a guest or have topic ideas, you can always email us at southfloridatribune@gmail.com. Last but not least, if you see the red subscribe button in that lower right-hand corner, that means you have not yet subscribed to us. What are you waiting for? Click it, like us, share us with all your friends and family. And then turn on your notifications so you're notified every time we go live. Or if you want to do it the easy way, the QR code is up in the corner right now. If you take a picture, go hover over it, and then it'll take you right directly to our YouTube page. So either way, you can get to our YouTube and then subscribe. And like like I said, turn the notifications on so you're notified every time we go live. Monday nights is baseball night. Tuesday nights is football night. Wednesday nights on Sports Exchange, you never know what Scott's got up his bag of tricks. And then on Thursday nights, he does sports rap, and I do fire up, so you can come over to the country club. And then Saturday mornings, instead of college game day, you got to listen to our YouTube channel. We have a better show than college game day inside the pigskin with our UCLA versus our USC guys. So come on over to our side and click on that notification. Back to you, Scott.
Thank you, Candy. And I think Shelley Van Brocklin, I think she has said that a time or two. Yeah, probably a time or two. It's probably about right. All right, let's go to our featured topic of the night. And that's this. Would Ted Williams be an elite hitter if he played in today's MLB? Yes or no? Keep in mind, he's the last hitter to go ahead and hit 400. What are your thoughts, Ron?
I have to say, absolutely. Ted Williams is one of the purest hitters that ever lived. What I've read about him, especially missing his prime years in the military, I think a hitter is a hitter is a hitter, and I think he would hit in today's game, just like many, many other athletes in different generations would still be able to play. And I don't think anyone will ever hit 400 ever again.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. All right, Katie, give us the lowdown on Ted Williams. You came up with stats, and then we'll take it the rest of the way. And then we have another handful of topics to go. Glad to have everybody out there and tuning in. Sometimes we hit a little later crowd, but they all ultimately come around. Go ahead, Candy. What do you have on Williams?
Ted Williams, batting average 344. Hits 2,654 home runs, 521 runs batted in, 1,839 on base percentage, 482. Yes, I believe he would definitely be able to play in today's game. I think for most sports, people previous could fit in today's game, whereas I don't think it goes the same way that today's players could play back then. Just my opinion.
Great points. Okay, Warren, what do you think about Ted?
Oh, Ted Williams, arguably the greatest hitter to ever play the game. Without question, he could play any era. He was a great player. Had one of the best hand-eye coordinations, beautiful swing. He had it all. He could really. The only thing he didn't have was he didn't really get along with the media too well. Other than that, he was a great player.
Oh, he didn't?
No, he didn't get along.
He never got along with the media too well.
Oh no, it was the fan. I take that back. It was the fans because when he hit his 500th home run, or his last home run, I can't remember which one. He didn't. He thought about it going around the bases, tipping his cap, and he decided not to. He just put his head down and ran the bases. He didn't acknowledge the crowd. There was a love-hate relation there. With that, for some reason, I have no idea. I mean, I was too young to remember that, but I know that he didn't get along with he and the crowd. Said they gave him a hard time, and I can't imagine why, because he was a great player.
Yeah, it's kind of strange to me too. Tony,
I'm gonna say no. I don't know if he could compete with some of these guys. I think part of the reason why we don't see pitchers pitch as long as they do now or as many innings because of the gas that they're throwing. I joke with my dad all the time. When he was coming up, when somebody was throwing 100, that was like, oh my God. Every team has 3, 4, 5 pitchers that are throwing 100. You have off-speed pitches at the low 90s. He wouldn't even he didn't see things like that. It's just the evolution of the game. I don't think he would be able to deal with the pitching. Now, I don't think he would just be terrible, but I don't think he would be the Ted Williams of the 40s and 50s. No.
Wow.
Okay. What about you, Barry?
I have to disagree with Tony. Look, the guy had the best set of eyes you could possibly have. Even in the military, they said he could see things that nobody else could see when he was a pilot. So he had that going for him. And look, major league hitters, consistent velocity, major league hitters hit, period. Because that's why they're at the major league level. They can hit the ball if they don't care how hard. Now he would have to have some, catching up to do with, learning that kind of velocity. But today's it's not the velocity that's getting hitters. It's the changing of the pitchers every 5 innings, 1 inning, 1 inning. You never see the same pitcher twice after the starter leaves. I think that's what's affecting hitting more than anything else. But Ted Williams will be a Hall of Famer in any era, in my opinion. And and I think they did finally show him the love he deserved in that All-Star game where they had him out in the middle of the field in Boston, and all the All-Star players were coming around like he was the Messiah. So I do like that fact, that they finally did give him the love. But I think he's an all-timer. All the all-timers would be all-timers today. I just believe if you can play whatever era, and I disagree a little bit about if you're a good player today, you'd have been able to play back in the past too. I think it's the difference we see today is just the mental side of the game. When I played, when Warren played, it was a little tougher game than it is today. Today, it's a little softer game and it's a little different game. But I disagree with a lot of people about this. The athletes are getting bigger, faster, stronger, and it's across all sports. So, these guys could play in the previous era, and the superstar players of the previous era could play in today's game.
I agree.
Yeah, Barry, you mentioned that moment at the All-Star game. I think one of the most touching moments in that All-Star game with him and Tony Gwynn being right next to each other.
Yeah.
Let's face it, those guys, you talk about great hitters. There was a point where Tony Gwynn was giving that 400 thing a bit of a run until he came up a little short. But Tony Gwynn and Ted Williams developed an unbelievable relationship with each other, and obviously were feared hitters. I wouldn't want to have to face Tony Gwynn, let alone Ted Williams. But Tony Gwynn was, I think, one of the best hitters in our era since I've ever watched the game. I wasn't around during Ted Williams' prime, but George Brett was great, but Tony Gwynn was the best. That's what I have to say about Tony Gwynn. And they obviously there was some San Diego connections there because I think Ted Williams lived in San Diego the latter part of his career, while Tony Gwynn was the head coach for San Diego State University, and I believe he was Steven Strasburg's coach over there. So Tony Gwynn's unbelievable, and to see him and Ted Williams is just surreal.
Yeah, they're both born in San Diego.
It really was. All right, so let's talk about a couple honest dates. Okay, but unfortunately, they're called. What's that?
They were both born in San Diego. They were both born in San Diego. So, I mean, they had a lot of connections.
Oh, were they?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, there you go. That explains the San Diego connection. Great, Warren. Thanks for bringing that up. All right, well, on this date, unfortunately, there's a couple RIPs attached to these. But on February 16th of 2023, Tim McCarver passes away at the age of 81. Obviously, he's known to the modern day baseball fan for being on with Joe Buck, Jack Buck, and obviously with Bob Gibson's catcher. Well, let's start off with you this time, Warren. What are your thoughts about Tim McCarver?
Oh, I love Timmy. He was a great teammate. I got a chance to spend 3 or 4 years with him, and he was the only catcher to play in 4 decades.
Oh, wow.
And I can't say enough about him. And I was fortunate enough when we had our reunion for the 80 team in 2022, he was still alive and he came. He was in, his daughter came with him and took care of him to saw that he got around all right. But it was great to see him again. And he lived in Napa where I grew up. He lived in Napa when he was broadcasting for the Giants. And he and Steve Carlson took me under their wings when I first got up to the big leagues. We all stayed in a hotel together out on the main line in Philadelphia. So, I have fond memories of Tim, and he was a great teammate.
I lost a ton of respect for Deion Sanders when he dumped water on Tim McCarver. That was absolutely stupid. And I have mixed feelings about Deion Sanders. That wasn't one of his better acts. You don't
Right.
dump water on a guy that has electronics on him. That is outright stupid. It really is. But first, Tim McCarver's announcing abilities. Wish I would have met him, but I'll tell you what, the way he went ahead and performed on the air, I felt like I knew him in that way. And of course, he, I think, had a stadium out in Tennessee sometime. Tim McCarver,
Right, Memphis.
was leveled. All right, Tony, some thoughts about Tim McCarver. Is
Um,
that what it was? Memphis? That's what I thought.
Yes.
Yeah, Tim McCarver is like one of the first voices I can think of when it comes to baseball for me. Like him calling the big games and stuff. Unfortunately, one of the bigger things that I remember him from because of my age is the Deion Sanders situation, which was assault pretty much in the locker room. You know, like it was pretty much any other setting, you probably go to jail for something like that. But yeah, great announcer. That's what I know. Him, big games, him with Buck before Joe and Buck started doing their games. But RIP to him, a great career as an announcer. Obviously didn't watch him as a player, so I didn't know much about him as a player. But as an announcer, he's one of the best I've ever heard.
Okay. Barry?
Well, when Warner and I played with Timmy, his job was to catch Steve Carlton. So you got Carlton and him. That was nobody else caught Carlton but him. And sort of the funny thing, when you're on a team bus and stuff, one of the things I remember, somebody I can't remember who, probably Boa, if it was anybody, said to him, so when McCarver dies, they're going to bury him 60 feet 6 inches from Carlton. And when I played with him with Montreal. He was over there for just 1 year, I think it was. And I had come up for the end of the year, and I remember Gene Mock said to him, "Hey, McCarver, if they put the morning track on the other side of the fence, you'd hit 75 home runs a year." And I was a young kid at the time, and I kind of was trying to figure all that out, and I figured it out later on. But I thought that was a funny thing. But Mac was a good guy. He was a good teammate, and obviously he was a great announcer. And he certainly got some good accolades after his career. And he had a four decade career. That's a heck of a career on the field, especially for a catcher.
Yeah, it sure is. There's nothing like talking about my favorite pitch position, catcher. I even did it for a few years, and that was the best position for me because I had no concentration. I'd be the worst anywhere but there. All right, Candy.
So, yeah, in September of 1980, McCarver became the 18th Major League player to play in 4 decades. Unbelievable. After his playing career, he became a television color commentator, most notably for Fox Sports. After previous stints with the other 3 broadcast networks, he eventually set a record by calling 23 World Series as well as 20 All-Star games, earning 3 Emmy Awards in the process. In 2012, he was named the Ford C. Frick Award recipient. He was inducted into the Sports Broadcasting Hall of Fame in 2016 and the St. Louis Cardinals Hall of Fame in 2017.
That speaks plenty. As a Hall of Fame broadcaster. All right, Ron.
Well, I remember Tim Carver as a player catching Gibson and the Cardinals, and then I guess I grew up with Vin Scully, Mel Allen, Red Barber. Those were the iconic voices to me. I guess Tim Carver helped in the Game of the Week on NBC, I think it was, and he was very colorful over the years and helped bring the game more, I guess, to a national audience on television as baseball expanded into the Game of the Week. And I feel sad that he passed away, but to hear, and I did not realize he played in 4 decades, that's a tremendous accomplishment. And he was colorful. Can't say he was one of my favorites. I hate the Yankees, but I loved Mel Allen. Grew up with Vin Scully.
You actually got to meet Mel Allen over in spring training in Fort Lauderdale years ago, Fort Lauderdale Stadium. Fort Lauderdale Stadium is magical for me. I got Barry as a lifetime partner here, battery mate, and of course, I got to meet a lot of great Yankees people, covering the Yankees over at Fort Lauderdale Stadium as well. All right, well, another on this date, rest in peace, goes out, but this one occurred in 2012. Gary Carter passes away at the age of 57. This one was tragic. It really was. And I'll let Warren take the lead on it.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about Gary. It's my rookie year. It was the last week of the season, and we were playing Montreal, and I walked him, and he was, at that time, had 29 home runs. Well, he went down to first base and told Richie Hebner, he says, he's pitching around me because they didn't want me to get my 30th home run. I had no clue he had 29 home runs. I don't pay that much attention. So the next week I faced him again with 2 outs, nobody on. I drilled him right in the ribs. so every time I got in a situation when he came up and it was an open base, I drilled him. So that's Gary Carter.
That's pretty good. Good job, Uncle Warren. Good job, Uncle Warren. I'm proud of my uncle. All right, go ahead, Tony.
I can't follow up that story. I'm leaving that alone. I can't follow that up, Warren.
See, here's the thing. I got Warren Brewster, and Barry Foote on this thing here, and these two guys, and not only play together, but they get better with every show on this network. They really do. That's why they're a dynamic 1-2 punch here on Monday night. Yeah. People, you get Warren Brewster, Barry Foote, Monday Night Baseball, 108 pitches baseball. Talking about louder. Yeah, what's another night of lost sleep? Who gives a darn? All right, go ahead. Who was talking? Was it
I
you,
guess
Tony?
I was next. I'll go back to what Warren said. I knew Carter from the time he was drafted, and he was with the Expos. I was with the Expos. He actually was in the outfield when I was catching. But the thing about Gary, he was definitely an acquired taste. He was, had a lot of hot dog in him, but he was a great player. I mean, I got to give him props. He was a very good player. One of the all-time great catchers, but he certainly was an acquired taste for sure.
All right, Candy, let's give you the stats. These guys are giving the stories. Now you'll give the stats. Well, you having a good time, Ron Luzo? How do you feel you're doing? Ron, you having a good time with this group?
I hope I'm hanging in there. I don't know, but I hope I'm trying to hang in there with these professionals.
Well, you're doing all right.
My bias, I guess, is showing.
I'm the one that you answer to anyways. Don't worry about it. You're doing okay so far. Go ahead, Candy.
So Carter was known through his career for his hitting, excellent defense, ability to handle pitchers, and on-field leadership. He made clutch contributions to the Mets World Series championship in '86, including a 12th inning single against the Astros to win Game 5, and a 10th inning single against the Boston Red Sox to start the comeback rally in Game 6 of the World Series. He is one of only 4 players to be named captain of the Mets, and the Expos retired as number 8. After leaving the major leagues, Carter coached baseball at the college level and minor league levels. In 2003, Carter was inducted into the National Baseball Hall of Fame, becoming the first Hall of Famer whose plaque depicts him as a member of the Montreal Expos. He also became a coach down here in Palm Beach. He was named, and on October 2009, he was named head baseball coach for the NC2A Division II Palm Beach Atlantic University Sailfish. Unfortunately, he ended up having brain cancer that took his life. So sad that he had numerous tumors and it grew real quick. In May 2011, he was diagnosed with 4 malignant tumors in his brain after experiencing headaches and stuff, and died a little over a year, not even a year later. So, but good player, good coach, and I'll leave it at that.
Well, I'll tell you what, we go over to the Mets that cover spring training in Port St. Lucie, they have a picture of Gary Carter in the media lounge. And I'll tell you one thing. This guy's just surreal. He really, really is. Going way too soon, 57. All right, Ron.
Well, I've always, I remembered Carter being a very good player with the Expos, but, for my 1986 Billy Buckner World Series, I just remembered how much of a leader he became on the Mets. I've heard some stories unofficially, but Barry Foote just made an allude to it, that he was an acquired taste even in the dugout, in the locker room. But as a fan of the Mets, he was just great. I loved him. I loved him in '86. I loved how he helped to lead the team. So I only have fond memories of Gary Carter.
Great stuff. Well, like I said, Gary, rest in peace. All right, Don Mattingly is joining the Phillies as a bench coach. You'll like it, Warren.
Oh, I love it. I think that's great. He's got a chance to finally get the World Series ring.
Yeah. Well, I think you're right. He does have a chance to get to a World Series ring.
Yeah. They're going to have a good team. They won the division last year by 10 games, and I don't think they're going to fall off much. They're going to definitely be a contender.
Yeah, I'm glad for Don. I'm looking forward to seeing him.
Yeah.
It's not during spring training, during the regular season. But
there's another great hitter.
What's that?
Yes, there's another great hitter. What a beautiful stroke he had. Great player. So he can definitely help out on the coaching end with the young kids and young hitters.
Well, his bench coach president actually helped the Blue Jays get to the World Series, because Don knows more about baseball than a lot of people do. Yeah. And he has the numbers on the field to back it up. And he's a really good friend of mine too. Well, I'll tell you, that's what's so good about being around baseball. Yeah, it's a small world. You have a lot of good people that are friends of yours, and then when you hang out, you see them again. The first thing you get is a hug, and then a handshake comes second, but the hug comes first. That's what I have with a lot of people I've come in contact. But all right, Tony, you know what? Mattingly is now with the Phillies as a bench coach. It's no secret that his son Preston is a general manager there. So
yeah.
But Don got there on his own merits.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Don Mattingly.
Tony?
Yeah, Don Mattingly, he can get a job without his son being a GM, but I'm pretty sure it's good working with your son, right? Having that family dynamic. I hate to be this person, but maybe Don Mattingly might be cursed. He might, honestly, he might be cursed. He might just have to go through his whole baseball career without reaching the ultimate goal as a player or a coach. So because I personally don't
say that.
I'm sorry.
Really, seriously, really, don't say that on this show.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Really, seriously, really, don't say that.
Let's just look at the facts.
Don't say it.
Let's just look at the facts.
I'm looking at the facts.
It's been right there. You just haven't been able to grab it. It's been right there. So, and I say that because
but he got close last year.
Right there. Mm-hmm. Like the State Farm commercial. Gotta be a little quicker
than
that.
Don't say it.
Almost had it. Gotta be a little quicker than that.
He could have had a world championship with the Yankees and he had stayed one more damn year. Don't say it. I'm giving him a hard time tonight, so that's okay. I am.
See, that's what I'm saying. He leaves a year, and the very next year, what happens? This might be the Blue Jays year.
Throw that at me.
This might be the Blue Jays year. And also, I think the Phillies are going to, honestly, and on top of that, I think the Phillies will have a tougher road in the East. I do think the Mets will be better. I think the Braves will be better. So, but I do like Don Mattingly. He knows. Look, he's forgotten more baseball than I probably ever know in my life. So I respect him as a coach and baseball knowledge. So he's definitely going to help the Phillies. But I'm going to just say the C word. I'm not going to say he might be the C word, man. I don't know.
I don't know if I'm ready to have a heart attack on here because of what you're saying here. The guy takes Saturday off, and all of a sudden he's sticking it to me on Monday. That's what did Tony. That's okay. Go ahead, Barry. I haven't blown up like this. Don Mattingly, he's my buddy, man. I'm telling you, this guy and I have a history. He's got to get a ring. It's not like I'm beating up on Dan Marino. I'm glad he never got one. But Don Mattingly got to get one. Come on, Donnie. We got to get you home there. All right, go ahead, Barry.
Well, yeah, I like Donnie baseball. Played with him. I coached against him when he was a player. I always noticed that I coached first base, and he obviously was first baseman. And I really noticed that he understood the game, and he's taken that on into his coaching and managing career. But I hadn't thought about what until Tony brought that up. I think, Tony, you might be onto something. I'm just thinking about that Seattle series where they lost to Seattle when they had it. And, so I'm gonna keep a close eye on this season. But I hope he does. I hope he does get a chance for a ring. He's a good, really good baseball guy, and he's a really good guy as well.
The best. You can say that, Tony, but that's all right. Now you have an ally in Barry, so whatever you're drinking in that red thing there, it don't matter. You got an ally with Barry foot on you on that.
There you go.
I still want him to get a damn ring, people.
I do too.
That's all I feel about the man. All right,
personal.
Okay, well that's fine because you never interviewed him before. That's why I worked with the guy 2 or 3 years at the Marlins, and of course, he never. Every time I hang out with him, we always have more memories. And if you don't believe me, look at the archives and all the photos I have with this guy. All right, Candy, go ahead.
Mattingly finished his career with 2,153 hits, 222 home runs, 1,007 runs scored, 1,099 ribbies, with 3 Silver Slugger awards. His .307 lifetime batting average then placed him behind only Tony Gwynn, Wade Boggs, Rod Carew, Kirby Puckett, and Roberto Clemente among players with 5,000 at-bats since the Major League expansion era began in 1961. He is commonly cited as the best Yankee player to have never played in a World Series. His career had bad timing, as the Yankees lost the World Series the year before he broke into the big leagues, and they ended up winning this World Series the first year of Mattingly's retirement. Not to mention the Yankees had the best record in the American League in '94 before the strike. Tony, to your point, close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades. He has not made it yet. Sorry,
now
Scott.
you got to live with me.
I do. I know.
Really? Seriously? Really? I get it. All right, Red Fox, I'm not coming to join you because they're right. I have to bite my tongue and own it. But get a damn ring so I don't have to hear this again. All right, well, we'll know. And if you do, you'll have 2 years to go ahead and keep it because they're going to be playing ball on 27 anyways. It doesn't really matter. All right, go ahead, Ron. Now that you see me get animated, I'm sure your first show definitely had some fireworks, especially when we got to this topic.
Well, anytime you're talking about the Yankees, it triggers me. And I have to say, all those years Donnie was there and they never won the World Series, I smiled. But he was definitely Donnie baseball. And I guess Warren and Barry know this better than I do. As a sports fan, certain athletes, you just know they're good guys. They've got a quality, classy athlete. Like Derek Jeter, for instance, who I can't stand the Yankees, but class guy. So I think from what I know about Donnie baseball, he's a class guy, great player. He should be in the Hall of Fame, probably. He should. And I hope Tony is right. I hope, Tony, he's right this year. I hope the Phillies never win a World Series.
And on the flip side, right? What if the Blue Jays win it this year? Right? It's like, all right. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Nah, they're not going to win it. How many key people they lost? Boy, I'll tell you, keep pressing that Blue Jays card, Tony. I'm telling you.
Sorry. I believe
that's all right. No big deal. No, you don't have to leave it alone. You've already beat that horse pretty darn good, man. With all this, Toronto's going to win it now that he's gone. Give me a break, really. All right. Well, I'll tell you what. We'll find out if these two guys will ever make the Hall of Fame because they are Hall of Fame eligible. We got Pete Rose and Shoeless Joe Jackson are either or both getting in. we'll lead it off with you, Warren.
Boy, I played with Pete. I love Pete. He was a great player, and he definitely deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. And Shoeless Joe Jackson was a great player too. I was a little bit before my time, but I think he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame also. It's time for those. But that's what Pete always said. That's what they said about Pete. Is that he wasn't going to be in the Hall of Fame until he passed away. So now the Veterans Committee can induct both those guys. So more power to them. I hope they both get in.
Okay, fair enough. Tony,
I feel
you
like
can't beat a dead horse here because they're dead.
Oh my God, Scott. I think they should be in. I mean, if you look at
I knew I'd throw that curveball. I knew I'd throw that curveball at Tony, and he would react that way. Go ahead, Tony.
Was not prepared for that. Man, I think they both should be in. Look, Hall of Fame and all sports are museums, right? They're the story of the sports. You can't tell the story of baseball without Pete Rose or Shoeless Joe Jackson. They're both gone, right? It's like, okay, you punished them their whole lives. You don't have let them in now. Let their jersey should be in the Hall of Fame. Their baseballs, all these great things that they're doing. There's no reason why you have this blank space in the history and the timeline of baseball. So hopefully they get in. I don't think they do. I feel like they should though.
Well, at least the one thing Joe Jackson say, whether he knows it or not, at least he's part of that movie Field of Dreams. I think that's one of the best baseball movies I've ever seen. But all right, turn over to Barry.
Yeah, both of them need to be in the Hall of Fame. During my playing career, Pete Rose was definitely a Hall of Famer, a great teammate. I never played with him. Warren did, and I think everybody I've talked to ever played with him. But I had a roast in North Carolina, at Raleigh, North Carolina. He was the guy that I brought in to roast. He was great with that. So obviously he was his own worst enemy after his retirement and all the gambling stuff. And then Bench didn't help things. Now Bench seems to be in his corner now. I'm with Warren. I think they'll vote him in since he's gone away. And there's no reason for Shoeless Joe, even when they had the Black Sox scandal. I think Shoeless Joe hit around 400 in that World Series. He was just a dumb guy from South Carolina and wanted the money. Didn't understand what he was doing, other than say, "Hey, give me the money. I'm gonna still play the same. Just pay me." So they both need to be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, Johnny Bench didn't have his back when he needed him, and now he's got it. Why? Because he's dead? I don't know, but whatever. Keep in mind, though, he helped Johnny Bench win a couple World Series, too, and I think Johnny should have thought a little bit about that. All right, go ahead, Candy.
So before I go to that, Scott, I'm going to give you a little gift, and this is for you. A picture of you with Donnie Baseball.
Tony, are you seeing this?
I have no problem with Johnny Baseball. I'm Donnie Baseball. I have no problem with him. I just realized that he might be the C word.
You can't help the fact that he's cursed, right?
Yeah, it's not my fault.
Exactly. Yeah, well, he's my pal. I'm looking forward to seeing him soon. Thanks for the gift, Candy. I appreciate it. Okay.
You're welcome.
Thanks. It's out there for everybody to see.
That's exactly. Everybody can see. Do I believe they belong in the Hall of Fame? I do think they do, but I think they belong in their own little wing or exhibit and stuff like that. They've started to put some of the other guys in there with, asterisks and stuff like that. They were part of the history, and we're talking about them how many years after the fact, and we're still talking about them. So do they belong? They're part of like I said, they're part of the history of the game.
Okay. Yeah. What do you think, Ron?
Well, I've changed my mind dramatically over the years. and I tend to agree with Tony and what Candy just said. As a fan of the greatest game that I've experienced in my lifetime, baseball, the Hall of Fame is a story about the game, and there should be a separation between the talent and their personal life. And although I have to admit, I hated Pete Rose. I hate the Reds. He deserved. He was definitely a Hall of Fame player, no questions asked. And now when I read more about some of the other hypocrites and conspirators and criminals and a-holes that are in the Hall of Fame, there's no question in my mind that Pete Rose and Joe Jackson should be there with their story. But their talents and their statistics are unquestioned. You can't question against it.
Yeah, I agree. They both should be in the Hall of Fame. Baseball's story. Candy and I I've been there a few times. Candy got her first taste of it, so she knows not only is it worth a wealth of information, and it can be expensive. But luckily, I didn't spend as much on this last trip as I did before. But I got a bunch of statues. I just saw statues, a bunch of stuff there. But it is a story. It is you can drop some coin there easily. You really, really can. And I enjoyed all those cider places too, Candy. They were pretty good, weren't they? But with all due respect, yeah, they belong in there. All right, final topic of the night. Only one to go. And that's this. Eric Hosmer on the idea of higher punishments of MLB players caught with PEDs. He says, I think the only way this game gets cleaned up and these guys don't risk 80-game suspensions for another couple of years on the back end is to take away their guaranteed money. So a former player, take away their guaranteed money, and then we'll think about PEDs. What are your thoughts about that, Warren?
Well, that's a great idea. It's simple. It's hard to understand how any athlete today could put anything in their body without talking to a trainer or somebody that knows what they're talking about. There's no excuse for it. And yeah, I mean, the punishment should be, fit the crime. And there's no excuse for, with the way the game is structured today and the intelligence that everybody has, that they can't figure that out, that they can't, go to somebody before they put whatever they put in their bodies before. I mean, it's a simple, because the trainers know everything. They know, and if they don't, they got books to look it up for you. So, that's a great idea. It's a good way to stop people, and just keep the game clean.
Yeah, you know what? When I first saw this, Eric Hosmer hit a bullseye in it. He really did.
Yeah,
guaranteed money. That's what these guys in MLB live for.
Right.
And NFL, you don't have any guaranteed contracts. You really don't. A lot of sports may not have them. If they're not as much, but baseball's got the most money attached to guaranteed contracts than any of them. So Eric Hosmer hit a bullseye. Tony?
Right.
I agree, but I just want to get more understanding. So does he mean like basically your contract becomes voided and it becomes like year by year pay? Okay, so yeah, I'm okay with that, because I mean the 80-game suspension basically takes away half a year of payment, which can be a lot of money depending on how much you get paid. I mean, half of your pay and taken if you're making $10 an hour is a lot, right? I agree. Look, hit them in the pockets. We all care about our money. We all want our bread, and I feel like that in other places in society. We won't get into that now, but yeah, if you hit their money, you get their bread. I'm pretty sure they'll stop taking those PEDs. And I agree with you, Warren. We have all this science. You have all these doctors. Everybody has their own trainer, their own chef, their own everything. You know what you're doing. And if you don't know what you're doing, you're purposely turning a blind eye. It's almost like Casino when Robert De Niro said, you're either in on it or you're too dumb. Either way, you got to get out of here. All right. So one way or another, you got to figure it out. So yeah, hit them where it hurts. They all like their money. They all love wearing their Cuban link chains. They all love getting their nice cars. Hit them where it hurts. Touch their wallets.
There you go. That a boy. Now you're speaking right. Okay, we just leave Mattingly alone. You're speaking right like a wallet. Okay, good stuff. Tony, I'm never gonna let you live that one down, but it's okay, Tony. You've made your mark on here, saying some incredible things. I'll tell you, if you haven't seen this guy on Wednesday night, he is a real trip. I'll tell you, he's like an unofficial co-host on that show when he's on there. This guy, he's ideally fit for the Sports Exchange. Okay, great stuff, Tony. All right, Mary, what do you think about getting them in their pockets?
I think you keep it simple. You have a commission or something that approves anything you put in your body. If it's on the approved list, you can take it. If you take something that's not on the approved list, lifetime ban. Done with it. Go home. If they're smarter now, that should not be an issue. You get caught and it's, irrefutable evidence that you have taken stuff intentionally, lifetime ban, and you'll get rid of this, these things. Now, some of these kids from Latin America, so I don't know that look, you got a pitcher that's getting ready to make 25, 30 million a year, and he makes $100,000 throwing balls in a gambling thing. You have to say, what in the world can these guys be thinking? So there might be some of that going on, but I think you get a good attorney in Florida and you try to fight the cases. But other than that, lifetime ban as far as I'm concerned.
Great stuff, Barry. Thank you. All right, Candy.
Barry brings up a good point. I mean, in a normal job, if you do something that you are not supposed to, you can be fired. So why not the same for baseball? You're not supposed to use these banned substances, lifetime ban them so they can't play again. I mean, that would be one way to very distinctively deter them. But yes, if you don't want to go quite that strict, definitely go after their guaranteed money, because if you're not on the field because of something you did, you shouldn't be getting paid. Period.
Okay, Ron, what do you think? You're an attorney.
Well, I was going to say our game is based upon the CBA contract. Every player is signing a contract, and therefore in those contractual clauses, there has to be some meat and potatoes. Barry's made some excellent points. I tend to think, and again, I don't know that much about all the different qualities of the drugs, but there needs to be a punishment to fit the crime. Some of the violations might not warrant a lifetime ban. Some might, but there certainly has to be meat in the contracts that are going to be enforceable. And then when I hear that Warren say that the trainers know everything, well, the trainers now are conspirators. They're involved, so they need to become accountable. Also.
Okay, fair enough. Great points. That's why this was a ideal topic, is nowadays everybody's talking about PEDs. You don't know what kind of clauses are going to get inserted in the next collective bargaining agreement either. The biggest sticking points you're going to watch for in the next collective bargaining agreement are salary cap and what you do with this PED situation. Those will be two of the bigger sticking points as time goes on, and we'll address those in later episodes for sure. So that does it as far as topics. Anybody have any parting shots that they want to add? This is a new feature that we're adding here about what's on your mind in baseball and any other sports. Ron, lead it off. You have anything you want to get off your chest?
I just had a conversation with a colleague friend of mine from Detroit, and he brought up the salary cap. And we were talking about, do you think that, and I'm sharing it with all of you, particularly Barry and Warren, do you think that Kyle Tucker signing by the Dodgers is the straw that broke the camel's back?
No question. That's a big part of it.
Right.
All right, I'll let everybody.
Yeah, I did hear something, Ron, about one of the big factors going forward in the CBA is the Major League Baseball owners are very upset that the value of their ball clubs are not going up like football and basketball are going up, and they're willing to go deep this time to try to get that back to where they get the price of their clubs back up. So that's another factor. But the Tucker thing is so far out of kilter. that, that's what's going to happen.
Great question, Ron. Candy, parting shot.
I can't think of any. I just hope my Brewers and Pat Murphy pulls another a trick and is able to get the best production out of the Milwaukee Brewers with one of the lower payrolls around. But you know what? Spring training is right around the corner. I can tell you this Saturday.
What about you,
games
Warren?
start.
Parting shot.
Yeah, just what Candy said. Everybody's in camp now. So they're getting ready. They're getting close to playing. And then we got the WBC to look forward to in March. So baseball's here.
Yeah. Well, the NFL hangover's over. My parting shot. Looking forward to baseball and some of the other things. The biggest thing I'm looking forward to, and a lot of guys on this panel probably looking forward to a week or two off, is when Candy and I get to go to Europe for a couple of weeks and I can decompress. And then when I decompress for a couple of weeks, everybody on this panel could take a little bit of a break before we get it going during the summer. So we'll be going to Europe. I'll get into more details there. So, but that'll be good. I'm looking forward to. I love international. I'm hooked. All right, go ahead. Okay, what about you, Tony?
I know this is a baseball podcast, but I have a 9-year-old daughter who is in softball, so that has gotten me into watching softball more than ever. Enjoy some college softball. There's some very exciting games going on right now. Texas Tech is balling out. Texas is balling out. It's so many good teams. It's a lot of good softball going on. Enjoy some women's sports.
Well, I do want to dedicate this show to Barry Foote's father, and I'll tell you why I'm going to dedicate it to his father. Because Barry, why don't you tell us a little bit about what took place last Monday night that you were very proud of with your dad? See, I have a soft side of me, even if I'm burying Tony with my voice, messing around with my buddy Mattingly. I have a soft spot to my battery. Go ahead, Barry. I'm dedicated. Tell your dad I just dedicated the show to him.
I appreciate that. My father is almost 98. He'll be 98 years old March 5th. He's been a baseball. He loved baseball more than anybody I've ever known. He would, go to any kind of baseball game. Fortunately, he played pro baseball. He went to spring training with Jackie Robinson, Ron. You'd appreciate that. And, and he was fortunate enough to have me play ball and my son play professional baseball. So he got to see a lot of professional baseball. And he gives a scholarship every year to our local area high school kids. And he can still talk baseball with you. He's still got his mind. He just doesn't have much mobility anymore, but he loves the game. He loves the game, as they say in the South, better than Peter loved the Lord. So he's a big baseballer. So I appreciate you bringing that up, Scott.
That's awesome.
My pleasure. Hey, listen, like I say, as long as I'm alive, Barry, my battery man, we're going to keep doing it. I got Brewster. I got the best 1-2 punch on the planet when it comes to my Monday night group, and along the fact I'll eventually meet Brewster, and Foote is just North Carolina right around the corner.
That's right. One last thing,
said,
Scott. I think we should dedicate a segment to trying to get rid of the curse. And I don't know exactly what we do. I don't know exactly how we do that. And I think we ought to dedicate one section of this next week. Get rid of the curse.
Barry, see you stirring the pot right now. You're stirring the pot.
I can't support that.
Yeah, but you know what? Wait a minute now. Let me tell you. Barry Foote is allowed to stir the pot for two reasons. One, you become a hell of a broadcaster, for God's sakes. When I first brought him on here, he was reserved. Now he's opening up like I've never seen in my years. He put up with me when I was a kid, when I was breaking into the writing business. And Barry stood there. We talked baseball all day long, gave me whatever the hell I wanted anyway. Yeah, we'll do that, Barry. You just suggested send me a text message. We'll do it. And we'll have to make sure Tony's on it, because after all, he's the one who started it in the first place. And of course, Warren, you can bring up anything you want to talk about. Just mail me a messenger. All right. So yeah, I'll do it. I'm open-minded for everything. My mom always taught me to be open-minded, and I'm open-minded. Everybody that has topic ideas, just send them to me via text message. All right, Ron, what are your thoughts about the first act here? Was I loud enough, wild enough for you to go ahead and tell everybody that I will tell you right now that your report card as of this particular time is you did really well blending in with us. So I look forward to having you on more shows in the future if you're interested in coming on, Ron. Okay.
Thank you very much,
Hope you had a
Scott. It
good
was
time,
my
Ron.
pleasure. It was my pleasure to join this group, particularly with Warren and Tony and Barry. And it's really interesting, and it gives a chance to just espouse out what were thoughts and feelings and experiences about the greatest game that was ever made.
That's why we have two baseball shows. We got one on Monday night. We also have one on Saturday. Glad to have you here, Ron. I'll let you have one more time to let everybody know where you work and how we can get a hold of you.
Well, me? Well, as I said, during the day, I have a full service
you.
of the law
You're
firm.
like Ron in here, aren't you?
That's me. We're talking baseball so much, I was really got triggered. It was just a wonderful experience. But I've been fortunate and blessed. I have a full service, successful law firm here in South Florida for 51 years. Here in Coral Springs, I represent individuals and businessmen, and I do a lot of family divorce, divorce and domestic violence issues for over 51 years. I'm also a New York lawyer. Used to be with the IRS, and we provide experience, expertise, and most of all, empathy. As we're hearing tonight, every single legal matter has a human being, and they all come with subjective prejudices and emotions. And we have to deal with them to get through, to resolve their issues and protect them. But I appreciate you giving me the opportunity, Scott, and I look forward to sharing and participating if you would have me in the future.
Well, I got news for you. I do plan to have you, but not necessarily on Monday show. You're one of those guys I can move around to these different shows, though. Be ready when the call comes. Okay, Ron? Great stuff. All right, Warren, you know the drill. Please let everyone know how they get a hold of you.
I can be reached at Brewster, BRUSSTAR 40 @gmail.com.
Oh, I see.
All right.
Can I give you my email?
Tony.
Is that what
by the
you
way,
want,
just
Scott?
to let you know in advance. Okay.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, go ahead. Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, my email is Luzumlaw, one word, LUZIMLAW at AOL.com. Luzumlaw at AOL.com.
And tell him he found you here on 108 Stitches Baseball Talk. Okay, there you go. All right, Tony, just to let you know, in the future, in a few weeks, you're going to have to anchor the Saturday show. I don't know. You'll come on Monday once in a while. You're going to be on Wednesdays and Saturdays anchoring those shows as time goes on, as I continue to move people around the dial. So I'm just kind of giving you a heads up ahead of time. But right now I have planned to bring you on next Monday night, but then be prepared to hit Saturday and Wednesday. Okay. But that said, please let everybody know how they get a hold of you, Tony.
All right. Well, YouTube, Tony Talking Game. Make sure you subscribe. Shows every Wednesday, 3:30, where we cover all the sports. You catch me here Mondays for now, talking baseball. Wednesday, Sports Exchange. Saturday, talking baseball. And then we're moving our wrestling show to Sunday next week to Raw for SmackDown. We're going to be talking wrestling. You can follow me on all social media, Talking Game 1. Holla at me.
I'll tell you, Tony's been an incredible find. I actually found this guy. He found me on Instagram. And you tell you what, you can find talent anywhere you want. You really can. And Tony's been a great addition to the South Florida Tribune Media Network. By all means, thanks, Shelley. We love having you on every day, every week, or whatever show. You're a breath of fresh air. All right, Barry, I'll save you. Obviously, we dedicated the show to your dad. Now go ahead and put it all out there how they can find you.
You can find me at bfoot, FOOTEXX @gmail.com. And on Monday nights here with the Motor Mouth.
That's it. Motor Mouth. Don't forget it, Tony.
Yeah, I know it.
The curse. Oh, well, I still have. Yeah, that's okay. Now I know it after you. But anyways, that does it for this edition of 108 Stitches Baseball Talk. On behalf of our special guests, Ron Luzum, Candy Ebling, Warren Brewster, Tony, the curse, okay, and listen to the microphone, and my battery mate, Barry Foote. We want to thank everybody for joining us on this show, and we'll do it again with Barry, myself, Warren, Candy, and Eric should be back that night as well. And we're going to have Tony on as well. So looking forward to having you on next Monday night, and we'll be busy. And so check out our programming for the rest of the week. So thank you, everybody, for joining us, and God bless. And we're going to continue talking baseball as we get ready for spring training. God bless everybody. And what a wonderful group we had tonight. I'm proud of every one of them. And I hope all the individuals that are on this broadcast know I'm proud of you. You did a heck of a job tonight. A1. Bingo. That does it.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Candy. You want to go ahead?